a quiet suburban town just outside of Seattle, Washington, provides the backdrop for one of the most well-known poltergeist cases in recent history. Levitating plants, ghostly apparitions, and even Bibles bursting into flames are just a few of the occurrences Keith Liinder and his now ex-girlfriend Tina claim to have experienced. The couple were reportedly terrorized for 4 long years and eventually sought out paranormal investigators to unearth the source of their mysterious haunting.
The story gained so much interest that it was even featured on the popular television show Ghost Adventures. And well-known UK paranormal researcher Don Phillips was also called in on the strange case. Liinder has released a book detailing his experiences in the house and has plans for 2 additional books. But what's the story behind this case? And what evidence was uncovered by the Zac Bagans team and also the paranormal investigators?
In this episode of the Supernatural Tendencies podcast, we'll explore the Bothell Hell House of Washington State. And be sure to stay tuned until the end, where we'll discuss the facts and give our opinions of this alleged poltergeist case. And stick around after the regularly scheduled content for the premiere of our new Musician Spotlight segment. This week we'll be looking at Heroes Revival.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Supernatural Tendencies podcast. I'm Christy.
And I'm Alex.
And this is episode 11, The Bothell Hell House. The phantom sound of a child's cough started Keith Liinder and his girlfriend Tina's terrifying experience that lasted for 4 years. Keith had just received a job promotion as an IT manager, and the couple decided to purchase a home together in May of 2012. The former owner had just left after handing them the keys to their new abode, when the distinct sound of a child's cough caught the couple's attention. After a quick search of the house, the couple dismissed the strange occurrence and returned to their self-described house high. Neither of the two had ever had paranormal experiences before, so the thought of this being the cause never entered their mind.
A few weeks later, the couple witnessed a plant levitate into the air and spin in a 360-degree circle before falling on the floor. As they stared at each other in disbelief, they were now forced to examine the very real possibility that their home was in fact haunted. Thinking at first that this spirit was that of a gentle but lost child, the soft coughing and harmless activity soon gave way to doors slamming on their own and loud banging noises that the couple could not explain.
At this point, the couple contend that they were still not alarmed by the experiences and wanted to understand what the energy wanted and waiting to see if any other activity would occur. They had even joked that they couldn't believe that what they were seeing was in fact actually happening. The situation escalated 3 months or so later when Mr. Liinder witnessed seeing the gray apparition of a lady and was terrified when a bar stool was thrown across the room by an invisible force.
He described the ghostly figure as resembling a tired and worn Cameron Diaz, and added that she exuded the feeling of being lost and confused. He reported that her appearance played out as if it were a scene from a movie. Mr. Liinder was quick to add that he had had the distinct impression that this spirit was not something to be messed with.
This began a 2-year search for help to put an end to their activity, which by now included Bibles spontaneously bursting into flames, and a particularly disturbing event that left them shaken to their core. In the spring of 2014, after Tina had just left for work, Mr. Linder decided to take a quick shower. It was then that he heard the smoke alarm sound, and grabbing a towel, he raced toward the bathroom door, where a mysterious, dense force rushed past him. He sees the front door of the home opening and closing, and no one is there.
As smoke filled the house and the alarm blared, his first thought was that an intruder was inside. So sprinting to the front door, he found the door again closed and would not open no matter how hard he pulled on it. Running back upstairs, he rushed to extinguish a poster on the wall that had caught fire, and how it caught fire remained a complete mystery. Linder reported that it took him several attempts to call 911, as the operators were unable to understand him whenever he tried to give his name and address.
After a slew of paranormal teams and psychics proved to be unable to help the couple, they decided to seek counsel from their local Catholic church. The fear and desperation revolving around the activity caused by this unexplained entity was wreaking havoc on both their physical and also mental health. The official verdict on what the cause of the haunting was differed depending on who was conducting the investigation. The church was convinced evil spirits were to blame, while the paranormal teams were certain it was due to poltergeist activity. The shaman who visited said it was angry demonic spirits, and the parapsychology community remained adamant that this was an intelligent haunting.
The couple were able to enlist the aid of the Travel Channel's Zac Bagans. In fact, their story even appeared on his special Ghost Adventures on Haunted Seattle. Bagans and his team spent a night in the house, but were unable to find any evidence that supported the couple's claims. Feeling beaten and being viewed as a fraud, Linder admitted that this was a low point in his life. Feeling alone and terrified by the activity that was now lashing out at them, possibly due to the investigation, they decided to seek out respected paranormal researcher based in the UK, Don Phillips.
Phillips is well known in the field of haunting investigations, not due to his use of paranormal equipment, but from his lack of it. Preferring to ditch the standard K2 meter for a rather simple method that involves his intuition, a voice recorder, and a video camera to capture the event. Over the course of 2 weeks, Phillips and his team conducted their investigation by maintaining a constant vigil in the home with the family, and their efforts were rewarded. Evidence consisting of 427 recordings, including 28 that were in direct correlation with questions asked, provided adequate proof to Phillips that Linder was indeed telling the truth.
Phillips did point out that although some reports, such as strange symbols appearing on the walls, that Linder asserts happened previously, ceased to occur during the time that Phillips and his team were there. But he was quick to add that regardless, this was still very much a case of a house being haunted. After speaking with neighbors and also a woman who had lived in the home previously, Phillips was able to determine that the terrifying events that plagued Linder and his girlfriend had also been experienced by others. Linder enlisted the help of the scientific establishment of parapsychology, whose investigative team, armed with motion detectors and recording equipment, were also able to verify that they had captured evidence of paranormal activity in the home.
Armed with this information, the couple were finally able to convince the Catholic Church to perform a highly controversial exorcism. An Episcopalian priest named Father Roy conducted the rite, even exorcising Mr. Linder just to be sure. Numerous cleansings were also carried out, but the activity continued, eventually becoming more than the couple could take. Mr. Linder and his girlfriend eventually separated due to the stress from their experiences. He now lives in his own apartment, and based on different sources, may or may not be still having strange activity.
An article from June of 2018 in the Bothell Kenmore Reporter newspaper cited that after his move, Linder's life was free from any paranormal activity. While an interview conducted by Tony Sokol of denofgeek.com in April of 2018 found Linder describing how remnants of whatever haunted Bothell House had in fact followed him to his new home. Referring to them as his minions, he recounts a 4-month experience he conducted that yielded mysterious pulsating sounds, heartbeats, and unexplained breathing that seemed to be coming from his pillow and mattress.
In Mr. Liinder's book, entitled The Bothell Hell House, Poltergeist of Washington State, which was released in April of 2018, he details his experiences since first stepping foot inside the Bothell house, and even offers up his video and audio evidence as proof to also support his claims. Meanwhile, paranormal researcher Don Phillips, along with parapsychologist Steve Mera, display their evidence in a documentary entitled Demons in Seattle.
Was this a genuine case of poltergeist activity? Or was it simply a ruse concocted to financially benefit those involved? You've heard the facts of the case. Now it's time for us to ring in on how convinced we are.
Excited for Halloween.
Yeah, me too.
I'm one of those people I just I'm spiritual and everything else all year long, and then as soon as Halloween season starts, I'm like, ooh, dark and creepy.
This was the first week that really felt like fall too.
Really? I've been in that mode anticipating it for quite a few weeks now.
So, well, no, I mean, like literally you walk outside and there's that slight chill.
Oh yeah.
The breeze. Today we woke up and it was 50 degrees.
I know.
And I really felt it this morning. I've already said it. I like cold.
I like
weather.
fall. Fall is probably my favorite season. I love everything about it. I love the leaves on the ground and the pumpkin everything and the creepiness.
Is it just inherently creepy because of it being like the stories of October and not just October itself?
It's both.
Okay.
It's one big circle of spookiness and creepiness.
Things are dying all around us.
Things are dying all around us.
Oh.
I love all the TV shows that they play around Halloween. You know, like the 10 spookiest places to visit, you know, and things like that. I love watching shows like that. So I think that's really cool. And they put all the like haunted history and, you know, all that stuff on like the Travel Channel and all that. I love
it used to be on all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like they're really kind of backing away from that, which is sad.
I know. It really is.
We need more shows like that.
What isn't sad though is like the names of some of these things we do. Like today we got the Bothell Hell House.
Yes.
Doesn't that sound just metal in itself? The Bothell Hell House.
It does.
I like it.
Okay.
That was a little much.
Well, you know, it kind of goes along with the whole creepy thing. You just want to get angry and...
You get angry when you get creeped out?
Well, when I listen to some of that music, like it just makes me get like, arr.
You get combative when you get scared?
Kind of.
Oh, okay.
Well, shouldn't you? I mean, if you're battling energy, shouldn't you be kind of like, what's up?
I know, but is that the mentality of fighting fire with fire the way you want to approach that?
Well, sometimes you have to though. But I want to be clear though that that's not like some people do. When you go in to investigate and, you know, you don't want to be attacking, you know, like, come on, you want to do something. Now, I don't mean like that, but I mean having that dominance of, you know, like me, I'm, you know, and I've said this before, there's no energy that scares me. I've dealt with that my whole life. So
how do you feel about this case then?
I feel very sorry for Mr. Liinder and his girlfriend for what they experienced. I do think that obviously they had experiences in the house. And then when Don Phillips, the UK paranormal researcher, investigated people that previously lived in the house, they reported the same kind of experiences.
We didn't go much into the other people's experiences, but did you remember from the research if they experienced the same intensity?
I don't believe it. I don't think they waited like Mr. Liinder and his girlfriend 4 years of going through all of that.
That's a long time.
Kudos to you because, you know, I can only imagine what they went through. Like, you know, having energies like that are, I mean, obviously causing problems with your physical health, your mental health. They broke them up because of all this negativity. that surrounded them. I know it didn't give her name and it didn't say a whole lot about her, but Mr. Phillips did report vaguely on a woman that previously lived in the house and had experiences with not Bibles bursting into flames or anything like that, but just hearing things, seeing the apparition, feeling the negativity, and she was gone.
Yeah.
Like she didn't stick around.
Yeah.
So kudos to Mr. Liinder and Tina. 4 years. That's a long time to be.
Yeah. And going back a little bit to the narrative and what they tolerated for the longest time, especially with this incident kind of almost being fire-oriented, because wasn't there like a poster on the wall that caught fire?
They had a poster hanging on the wall. And
then the Bible catching fire. Yep, and then it slowly just kind of crescendoed almost. And now I didn't really see like an incident that made them go, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
That I seen, but it definitely did crescendo to the point of causing issue. And I'm caught. Personally, when I research this story, I'm caught because whenever we watch, let's say we're watching a show like on TV or something, and we want the story to be good.
Yeah,
we want the story to be good. I want it to be scary.
Yeah,
and I want to be scared.
I don't want to be scared.
And then you get excited, right? And then you have a sweet ass name like the Bothell Hell House, and you start watching it, and you get excited, and then like now I'm at the cusp. Okay, we all come to this thing where someone starts telling you this story, right? And you get to the climax, and most of the time, the climax for these are like
something terrible, scary happens.
No, the opposite. We're not talking about actual movies, but most of the time, the crescendo was, well, my car keys flew across the living room, and I just boogied. I was gone. That was it.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, your car keys flying across the living room is a pretty crazy experience, but it's not overly nuts, can I say?
Like life-threatening or something like that.
Yeah. Like, so we all have this, like...
line in the sand.
Of belief, yes. Yeah, a line in the sand of your belief.
I can tolerate and believe up until this line, and once we cross that line...
Yep. So 9 times out of 10, when we hear a story about poltergeist or spiritual activity, we get the normal groans and moans or knocks or noises, bumps, right? And so we've almost become like calibrated, calloused to, oh, you heard knocks? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's the norm, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, and that, but now that's the standard.
Yeah.
So you have spiritual. Do you hear knocks? Like if you don't hear knocks, then how do you know what it is?
Yeah.
So now we're at the other end of the spectrum with this case, and that's where I'm coming back to the cusp of getting excited about a story or a TV show episode or something. That we're not just the norm anymore, where you come to expect just the knocks. We're going to the farthest end of the spectrum, where we have like the stereotypical thing in a horror movie.
Like the Bible's bursting into flames. Posters bursting into flames. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They did have one of the things I think that was kind of a finality for them, kind of like, this is enough kind of thing, is I think it was Mr. Liinder that had a bar stool literally like fly. Maybe it was Tina. I can't remember for sure. But it flew across the room and, that could do some serious damage to you.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it could. So now getting back to that point, we're almost to the point for me of overdoing it. Yep.
Yeah.
Not calling into question Mr. Liinder or Tina's experience, not outwardly expressing distrust for the story, but this is one of those stories where we're at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
That we're coming to the story that inside anybody who listens to paranormal stories or watches paranormal shows, this is what they want, ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we watched a paranormal investigation show? And I'm sure every single listener we have done this. We start watching the episode where they go into this house and you're hoping for some evidence.
Yeah.
We want some evidence. Bring on the evidence.
And you don't want to watch a show where they go in and they don't find anything. Like, no one's going to watch that.
And that's what I'm getting to. We want the evidence.
Yes.
And then they come back and, we got this.
Show us proof.
We got this noise that kind of sounds like Jim's cough, but kind of doesn't sound like Jim.
Yeah.
So we're calling it evidence. But now we're to the point that if we take Mr. Liinder's story as proof with no actual showable evidence, provable evidence other than his story, we got a freaking Bible bursting into flames.
Yeah. If that's not cause for alarm, I pretty much don't know what is.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem that I have, I don't want to say a problem that I have with this case, but I find it odd that neither of them, because this definitely sounds like some kind of poltergeist energy. And in my opinion and in my research, poltergeist activity is usually brought on from someone in the house having repressed, that has had psychic abilities or awakened and has repressed, or maybe they don't know that their abilities have awakened.
Yeah.
That's usually the norm. It's not actually due to an energy being in the house causing this stuff to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think it's odd that Mr. Liinder and Tina reported not having ever had any type of paranormal activity before they moved into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really wondering, we're going to have to get Mr. Liinder on the show and, hear his story and everything. But I'm curious if something happened around that time that they bought the house and moved in that might have kind of brought all of that into play. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, as opposed to being like a spiritual haunting that kind of stays.
Yeah, I think
stays in place and kind of affects everyone around.
My gut feeling tells me that Mr. Liinder is actually the cause of whatever activity is going on.
Well, we did have those previous tenants say the same thing.
That's true. That's true.
So now I've come to the realization that as humans, we tend to try to categorize things.
Oh, I know.
For explaining things, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of try to fit things into little cubicles and little, peg holes that have them fit. But if we keep calling this a poltergeist case, which let's clarify what a poltergeist is, which would be more centering around things moving, trickery.
Around a particular person. Like when that person is around, suddenly you have activity, and that person is gone, the activity doesn't really happen.
So I guess I didn't realize that was a contingent part of a poltergeist.
That's usually a poltergeist. Yeah. It's not revolved around any energy that's in the space, or it could be an energy, but someone in that house is triggering that energy.
Okay, then for me that this isn't a poltergeist then.
I don't know.
Because if we've had previous evidence of the haunting before Mr. Liinder and Tina came into the situation,
yeah,
and it continued without they're in this situation, then that's not a poltergeist.
Well,
that's just
no,
a haunting.
And see, another thing about a poltergeist, this has kind of got me on the fence too, is usually poltergeist activity, like I said, it revolves around a particular person that triggers it. And they may or may not be even aware that they're the cause of it, but they're usually relatively short acting. It may be a few weeks, a few months, but not for years.
Yeah.
But see, that's another thing is when he moved, if he's still having this activity, it's not something attached to the house. It's something to do with him.
Yeah, but I'm going to refer back to the fact that they have evidence of it happening before
That's
he came
true too.
there.
Yeah, with the woman who had the experience that Don Phillips reported on.
Yeah, this may be like an amalgamation of a bunch of different things happening at one time, and like I said before, us being humans want to categorize it in clearly cut examples.
And you know how I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely hate when people say like, oh,
yeah,
like when investigators or psychics or anybody walks into a house or a place to investigate and says, oh, well, okay, you've got a demon or you've got a shadow person or you've got this or that's just something that really grates on me, I guess. Because, and I've said this a million times, you never know 100% what type of energy you're dealing with. So giving it, like you said, giving it a name, such as a demon or anything like that, a succubus, anything, you don't even need to do that. All you need to do is focus that you're dealing with some type of negative energy. Don't categorize it because you have no idea of what it actually is. It could be someone who was not so nice in life, and they pass on, and now they're even worse in death. You see what I mean? And they might be portraying themselves as a shadow person or a demon or this or that. You never know.
I think where a lot of people may get hung up on that description would be the difference in how the energy, I don't even want to say made, because if we go off of, and I'm gonna maybe show my ignorance here. Was it Newton's
law?
One of Newton's laws where he said that energy isn't created, it's just transferred.
That you can't create energy.
You can't create more energy because the energy that's here has been created.
Yeah.
And you can't create it, nor can you destroy it. It just gets transferred.
It still will exist.
To a different form, right?
True. However, energy can transmute. You can take negative energy and transmute it into a more positive energy. That is possible.
So I think with a lot of people's understanding of the kind of energies that you're talking about, if you were to bring it up and they were to have the light bulb click on, and you use these designations of demons compared to like a person's spirit,
yeah,
the differentiation is that it seems to be more like godly created in the human spirit and more malevolently created in the demonic spirit.
I think a lot of times I'm just going to say this. I personally am not someone who believes in, quote, demonic energies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that any energy has the just like us with human beings. We have our good side and we have our bad side. Some people may be a little more good and less bad, and other people may be more bad and less good. It's the same way with energies. And a lot of people don't know, too, that, in a sense, you can kind of create energies. Because say you have a person who is, whatever has happened in their life, they're depressed, they're angry, and this goes on. You hold those feelings for a prolonged period of time. So if you have someone that is in that state of mind, holding those feelings for, let's say, years on end, that energy can then become so strong that it will separate from that person and actually become its own energy. And a lot of people don't, and I think that's where a lot of these things come from. They're just random energies that have been manifested and created by people unconsciously holding on to those negative emotions for so long.
Yeah. I think I did outwardly misspeak earlier because wasn't Newton talking about matter and not energies?
True, yeah.
Yeah. So correction, now that I was listening to you talk.
You were wrong, buddy.
I was. Hey, but I'm fine with admitting that I was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But still talking about that, I think that is still the divide among popular, follower of religions today. I mean, you have numerous religions who will divide the good and the bad. There's good and bad.
Oh, don't get me started on the religion thing.
In a lot of Western religions, especially like in Judaism, when you have we have stories like the Dybbuk box.
Yes.
People who do consider it to be a demon.
Yeah.
Formed or created by whatever malevolent
energy
or intentions may have happened, or manifested something in the form of this,
and it's harboring in that box.
Yeah, but
for whatever reason.
But a lot of people would perceive that energy as a demon, and maybe it's just the terminology that just maybe insinuates not necessarily like a snarling.
But that's what people think of when they think of demons.
But the intention of the thing, as opposed to just being kind of like a spirit who maybe isn't necessarily aware of their surroundings, or maybe are, but they don't really
kind of caught in that limbo in between.
That the demon would be the one who knows exactly what it wants to do, and it's not good usually.
As a purpose, yes.
So I think we have a bunch of different things. I mean, in reality, a lot of people hold, like in this case, the Bible to be kind of sacred to them, and any kind of mistreatment to it they would take cause for concern.
It would be an attack. That would definitely be considered an attack.
Yes, but some living people don't hold any belief in that book. Therefore, they may just be, they would maybe bad talk it for whatever reason they would want to, maybe just to be a jerk.
Yeah.
So this still could technically be a spirit. And although setting a Bible on fire, I mean, we've seen people in real life set Bibles on fire, but being a spirit, that's different. And one could perceive that as being a demon and doing it, when in reality, it could just be a trickster that knows that you hold that thing dear, and maybe a stereotype, and it's living up to the stereotype.
This will really get them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. But I think too many people, and this is what I teach, I think too many people, it doesn't matter what type, if you're dealing with a negative spirit of someone who has passed on, or if you are dealing with a quote demon, a negative energy that has been created for whatever reason. I think too many people tend to separate them and think that they have no control over them. We got this, whatever it is, this negative energy, and we're just a victim. So that's one of the things that I really try to teach is, no, you don't have to be a victim to these energies. You absolutely, I've seen too many paranormal shows on TV, and that's a sore point with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I did a video on this a couple months ago, where I was watching because I love watching those shows. I like seeing the history behind, the places they investigate and all that.
Yeah.
But I actually was watching a show and this woman was being attacked. And the host said, because the lady said, well, what can I do to put a stop to it? And the host was like, well, there's nothing you can do. And I'm just sitting here screaming, like, how can you tell her that? So I think people really need to be informed that you absolutely do not have to deal with these negative energies. You don't have to go calling in a shaman and a psychic and blah, blah, blah. You can get rid of it yourself.
Well, I think there's a certain amount of trust in those types of people. I think if you have a shaman, if you have a medicine person, if you have a priest, these are people who are perceived to be trained, who have knowledge and experience in that area of life and afterlife.
Usually, though, from my experiences and everything, that it doesn't solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You can bring in, and I've said this time and time again, you can bring in anyone you want to. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to help.
Well, I'll tell you,
and it's actually going to make things worse.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I have noticed, and that's flying in complete contrary to everything you're saying, is that you've seen like Catholic priests come in and do something and it still continues, and some of the others.
That's what I'm saying,
and it continues. But the last one that always seems to work are those native peoples coming in.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because Native Americans, these shamans, there's a difference. There's a huge difference between calling someone like a priest or something like that in versus calling in someone who, these shaman, these medicine men, whatever you want to call them, they have spent their whole life, like me, dealing with these energies. So when you have that trust in yourself, like it's a spiritual sense of, I know my strength of my energy. And they have that same strength. But when they come in and they're going to, do their thing, whatever, but then they're going to leave. And if you are not secure in your sense of having that sense of dominance and that sense of self that, I can handle my stuff, then, and relying on your guides and all of that to protect you, then you're going to be right back at square one. Because those energies are going to know, hey, she's still scared. She's still fearful of us. We still got her. And the shaman left. So we can go right back to doing what we were doing, and she's not going to do nothing about it.
But could one argue that those people coming in and taking a look and doing what they do could give you confidence in dealing with it after?
I think yeah, absolutely. I think that could definitely work. But if you just have someone come in and, do a little ritual, whatever they do, and then leave, I've seen it time and time again. It's 9 out of 10 times going to make things worse because you've got to get it where it starts. If you're still if you're in that environment of these negative energies, right? And you are still holding on to that fear. I mean, you may feel a little better when the shaman or the psychic or the priest or whoever comes in and they're doing their thing. You might feel a little better while they're doing it. But then when they leave, the end result is still the same. It's still you in this house with this negative energy. You're still holding on to that fear, which those negative energies feed on. So you've got to get rid of that fear. You've got to get rid of that fear, and you've got to strengthen your energy to change the energy around you. But
you don't think that you can inherently just become spiritually stronger by believing that the ritual you just witnessed worked?
That could be possible.
So regardless of how you feel about any one religion in particular or any one holy person coming in and doing the ritual, however you feel about the ritual, whether it's effective or not, what you're saying is the point is that if you have the spiritual strength of recognizing that you believe that it worked,
then that's all that matters.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get at.
If you believe, I personally, and you know this, I don't believe in religion. But that's my opinion. If you believe in religion, if you call in a Catholic, if you're Catholic and you call in a Catholic priest to do a cleansing and get rid of whatever energy, if you personally believe wholeheartedly that that priest coming in is going to get rid of that energy, that's all that matters. Because if that's what you need to get rid of your fear, the same result has been achieved.
Yeah,
it wasn't so much that priest coming in and doing whatever he was doing. It's more about you getting rid of that fear of that negative energy.
Yeah, you're your own power source.
Definitely, you are your own power source. And I'm telling you, you are not going to, if you are having paranormal activity, you are not going to get rid of this activity by simply calling people in to handle the problem for you.
If you just don't believe it.
If you don't believe it. It is not 100% not going to work. And I will go on record saying that.
Which I can segue into the whole idea of the big thing now of burning sage and everything.
Yeah.
Burning sage does work if you know how to do it and you believe that it works. Yeah, if you just go around burning sage, you're just burning grass.
You're just burning sage. You're just yeah. It's the same thing with crystals. Crystals have many valuable uses. They are very powerful. But if you don't tap into that energy and you don't believe it's going to work, it's not going to work. It's that way with anything.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, you don't need the sage. You don't need the crystals. You don't need the sea salt. You don't need any of that.
These things are just inspiration for your inner
Yes,
your
they
inner
are
power.
just little extras to help along. The most important thing is working on you. And I try to tell people that all the time. But the general consensus is that, oh no, if you want to get rid of this stuff, you got to get sage, crystals, and salt. Call someone in, and that's the end of it. And I've said this before, if all of that worked, right? If what I'm saying is complete BS and all of that stuff worked, there would be no hauntings. There would be no paranormal investigation shows because that would get rid of it because that's what everybody knows to do.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't work, people. You see it time and time again. You've got to go to the source because how many people walk around every day and do not ever have paranormal experiences? Why are you having these experiences?
Yeah.
Because you are psychically awakened. That's what it is.
Do you think it's always the case?
I 100% do.
Every time?
Every time. I think you have to be awakened to have these experiences.
You don't think a non-psychic can experience anything paranormal?
No, I don't think they can't see beyond that veil.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Go ahead. Come on, bring it.
And pinpoint a little thing.
Go ahead.
If I'm not psychic, and
Yep.
I'm sitting next to you while being a psychic and you experience something paranormal, you're saying I can't experience it?
No.
So if we hear a knocking on the wall, we both hear a knocking on the wall.
You wouldn't hear it if your abilities did not allow you to tap into what's going on behind the veil. What dimensional thing is going on?
That knocking isn't happening behind the veil. The knocking is a physical manifestation.
It is a physical manifestation of an energy that is not in our realm of our dimensional realm.
Yeah, but what is it?
They're not physically here.
But what is in our dimensional realm is the...
They definitely have the ability to cause physical things to happen within our dimension, but they do not dwell within our dimension. There's a big difference.
But that's neither here nor there if I'm not psychic, but I can hear an auditory noise made by an entity not in our dimension.
True.
So,
but if you weren't, you wouldn't hear it.
Are you serious?
I absolutely believe that. How many times have things happened and someone will say, "Did you hear that?" "Well, no, I didn't hear anything." "Did you see that?" "I didn't see nothing." Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, we all have our own belief, but I've had that happen so many times.
We have come to a precipice, everybody, because of all the non-recorded talks we've had. We have never once talked about this, and this is happening in the moment. Really?
Do you honestly? So do you? I'm going to ask you now. Do you think you are psychically awakened?
No.
You seriously? Are you seriously going to say that?
Yes.
You are someone that has been with me and had paranormal activity.
Yeah.
You have had things happen to you. What? Okay, wait a minute. What makes you think that you? What do you think of when I say you are, Alex? You are psychically awakened. What instinctively comes into your mind? What does that mean to you?
I think offensive stereotypes.
Tell me.
Call me now.
Exactly. See? And that's, oh my God. I get so tired of that. That is not what psychically awakened means. For the love of God, I'm going to have a meltdown.
Oh, we got a lot of traffic coming through the area today. We apologize.
Excusey. No, that's not what it is. Being psychically awakened just means that you have that ability to tap into other dimensions, be it extraterrestrial.
I thought we turned these things off.
I thought I did too.
Don't you yell at me for that?
Shut up. But it just means that you have that ability to tap into other dimensional energies, be it extraterrestrial, be it paranormal, anything like that. You have that ability, and not everyone does. So, yeah, I don't know how, that really bothers me, that I think when people hear, like people hear the word psychic and they are like, oh, no, I'm not psychic. And I could literally, I won't because we don't have the time, but I could probably sit here and list off, Alex, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? So, yeah.
I don't know.
You're still on the fence about that.
Yeah. I think how can I even word this? I think that there are people who may be able to experience spirits and apparitions and other energies that the vast majority of the population cannot. I think they can experience them in ways that other people cannot perceive. I think there are some common ways that these same energies and entities can manifest themselves in a manner that everybody can perceive, such as a knock or a bump or maybe a whisper or something like that, because even if you're not psychically awakened, which I will hold off my opinion on psychically awakened, what that's supposed to mean, that you still have your senses, you still have the ability to hear a knock or a whisper, or see an orb or see a shadow, and that's your form of communication. But I personally don't think you have to be a psychically awakened to experience that. That's just the way your body operates.
I don't want to say it. It's really about being open to that kind of thing. When people think of psychic, like you said, they think of all the negative connotations that are associated with it. But your psychic ability is really just an extra sense. Like you have your sense, you can hear, you can see, you can feel.
And I can agree with that.
It's just an extra sense.
I can agree with that.
And some people, they're not open to it, or they just flat out don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But I think you have to have that openness of that extra sense to be able to, like I said, tap into whatever other dimensional energies are around.
And for you, that means that if you hear a knock that's spiritually, like fueled by a spirit,
yes,
that if I'm not psychically awakened, I will not be able to hear that knock.
You won't hear it. I've had that happen to me time and again. I've had people around, and I've had things happen, even with my husband, Daryl. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, did you hear that? Or did you see that? A big one with us is when I go to bed at night, I will hear, I usually have like my rain sound going in the background, mm-hmm. but I will hear music. Well, it's beyond that. I will hear music and like people talking. And it reminds me of like a 1930s party going on. Like mm-hmm. that's in my head what I picture.
Yeah.
And I can hear it enough to really hear it, but I can't pick out what people are saying or what the exact song is. But sometimes like it'll get so loud in my head that it almost drowns out the sound of the rain. And I'll even ask my husband in bed, I'll be like, babe, do you hear that? Do you hear the music? No, I don't hear anything. And I'm just like, how can he not hear that?
Yeah.
Like it's so loud.
So do you think there's a difference between like a clinical audio hallucination triggering thing compared to a psychic ability triggering that? The audio hallucinations? Maybe I can be more clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So when you are laying in bed at night and you hear this music, this party going on in your head, you think it's your psychic abilities.
I know it is.
Okay. So could one say that somebody else experiencing the same thing, do you think that could be diagnosed as just an auditory hallucination?
Oh, sure. I think any of it could be an auditory. The reason I can say, okay, it's not just something in my head.
And this is just for you.
This is just for me. This is an experience that I have had. Mm-hmm. We had lived in a house, and my husband's son and my youngest son actually lived with us in this house. And we had bedrooms upstairs, but we had one bedroom downstairs in the back of the house. So my husband and I took that bedroom. Well, then later on, we put his son in that back bedroom. I'm sorry. And I kept telling him upstairs that I would see this little girl at night, and I kept hearing the music really loud. And I'm like, you guys don't hear that? And Daryl kept saying no. He kept saying no. Well, then we decided we wanted to put our room downstairs, and we were going to throw the boys upstairs. And Daryl's son was just overjoyed because he's like, and he had never said anything before, but he's like, I'm so glad to get out of that room. I don't like that room because I see things, and I keep hearing weird music. And I'm just like, see, I told you that I kept hearing the music. So
But
it's
then-
just one of those things. But then again, your brother, my youngest son, didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl never heard anything. It was just me and Daryl's son that heard the music. So why were we the only two that experienced that and the other two didn't? So,
That's food for thought.
and I think there are many different, when you think of someone, like I said, it's just another sense that we have. And I think a lot of times, okay, like your sense of psychic ability, well, it may only be open a little bit. Whereas someone else who has, worked with it and strengthened it and really said, okay, you know what, I'm going to work with this energy. If something's, if I'm having all these negative experiences, I'm going to build myself up to have that defense and to be able to connect with like your guides and all of that, may have that ability is bigger.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think there are varying levels of, I'm not sure the word I want to use, like not how psychic you are, but I guess your training of using that ability.
Yeah.
I think that's more of what I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
I don't want to say that, people think that, like when I hear, and I've had people write me and say, are you really psychic? How do you do that? Well, you're psychic too. Everyone is. And if you tap into it and you work on opening it, I'm not special. Everyone has that ability.
Yeah.
So I don't want to mislead people or make it sound like I'm something great or something special. I don't have any abilities for me that you don't have.
Yeah.
It's just you got to have that desire and, to work with it and strengthen it.
Mm-hmm. Like Rocky Balboa train him.
You got to Rocky Balboa it. You got to get in there. Dun 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 dun. You want me to do the whole theme song?
No, we could stop right
Dun
there.
dun 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 dun. Okay.
Oh, you're going to keep going.
All right.
All right, let's get away from that.
I don't know why people don't like my singing. I think I have a very good.
You're very loud in my reference headphones
Sing.
right now, and that just exacerbates the problem.
That hurts my feelings.
Moving on, I wanted to talk about more specifically, would be the Ghost Adventures team going in and investigating this, because I assume that if you've heard of this Bothell Hell House, unless you've done particular studies in it specifically, your experience would probably be from the television
Watching the show, yeah.
So they kind of went in and they were there for one night and they kind of deemed it.
I don't even think
inconclusive.
they were there for
Just-
my reports. They were there for just like 5 hours or
Oh,
so.
okay. And then, but they still deemed it like inconclusive.
Yeah,
So I think we can agree to chalk this up to there may still been something happening there. It just you didn't give the time.
exactly. I don't think 5 hours is enough to really catch anything.
Yeah, I mean as soon as they walked in with the cameras, the spirits apparently, or
Boom.
whatever it was, apparently weren't like rubbing their hands together. All right, here we go.
Yeah. I don't think 5 hours is enough to get a valid idea of what's actually going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the constraints of having a production such as Ghost Adventures.
I understand they have limited time and they've got to go from shoot to shoot. I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the time to devote to really, getting in there and really investigating and finding out 5 hours is not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess that's one of my bones of contentions with the Ghost Adventures team, and I don't think they really do this. But if an investigation team were to come in the same situation and have a limited time to tell you, nope, we don't think anything's here. I would imagine you have to spend some time.
Yeah.
And even so, I think it's so personal sometimes with the experiences that people have that even if it's not Bibles bursting into flames, maybe it is these little things that happen throughout your day.
Yeah.
That just kind of like, oh, that was weird, or this was weird, or remember that one time? Yeah, that was weird too. That it doesn't necessarily have to be it burning down your house in order for it to be,
it's
an experience.
all the things combined.
Yeah, so just because it's not the blockbuster situation movie scene that you may think it is, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not activity. It could very well be activity, but sometimes you got to give the time, and even if you don't give the time, it may be so personalized that it may be just for this group of people or that person for them to experience. And I think sometimes we run into trouble with that, especially dividing the thought process between a clinical issue with the person, like maybe they do have maybe some type of schizophrenia, those auditory or visual hallucinations, and it being spiritual activity. But I think you do need a little bit more time than 5 hours.
I was really impressed with Mr. Don
Phillips?
Yes, the UK paranormal investigator, because he came in and spent, I think it was weeks or weeks or whatever, and really stayed there with the family just to catch anything that happened.
Man, that's like a Christmas story to me. Like with these investigations, like the researchers who go in and, let's be honest, it's kind of like squatting, but still, you come in, but they give you the time of day. They stay with you.
That's a lot of time out of their, they're taking a week or two out of their lives away from their families to come and help you.
Yep.
I think that's awesome.
And to try to ascertain actual information by means that aren't rushed or just trying to find evidence just to find evidence to sell. It's for you. So that's, like I said, that's kind of like my Christmas story is like, oh, look at this. Like, it's great. They stay with you. They give you the time. They give you the respect.
Don't get me wrong, though. Don Phillips has, he did, what's the word I want? Get with the other guy. I can't remember his name now. And they do have a video out, Demons of Seattle or whatever. So, he is profiting off of this Liinder case.
Well, it's
that way with anything, though.
If that's your job, if that's your career, then I understand.
But I have seen people slam him because of that.
Well,
and I don't think that's fair.
If we went through the entirety of our lives and in our paranormal lives, and we had these people like Zac Bagans, and I'm not bad-mouthing Zac Bagans in particular, but he is one of the groups of people that need to have time constraints. They have a certain amount of production value that they need to achieve before pre-production and post-production that may not have the actual family or incident and respect for the situation in mind. And that's not bad-mouthing him. That's just simply stating the fact of the situation.
Exactly.
So if you have someone who can devote their lives to fully studying these things, I don't mind if you profit. That's your job.
No, I don't either. Yeah, I totally agree.
It's like me. If I wanted to become a paranormal investigator, I work a full-time job, sometimes 40, 50 hours a week. That leaves a limited amount of time
to use constructively.
To investigate.
Yes.
So maybe there is something going on, but I may not even get the full brunt of it because I also have a job.
Yeah.
So if that were my job and I'm spending 40 to 50 hours a week, in theory, doing the paranormal investigation things, then I can devote all the time and all the respect to the situation in trying to, decipher whether or not, is this just a leaky faucet? Do you need to replace your pipes? Do you have bad electrical? And, or is this an actual situation? And if it is an actual situation, gathering the materials to do so. So I don't mind people making money off this.
Yeah.
This is your job, but don't, blow things out of proportion.
Yeah.
Is it a knock?
Give us the facts.
Did your child get time warped to 3 dimensions over and now there's some type of plant giraffe monster?
Monster.
I'm giving you an example.
Wow.
But that's so I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So that, B, putting the information out there in a coherent and I keep coming back to it, but respected way.
Yes.
In a respectable way. Then I don't mind at all if you're making money off of it.
Yeah, that's how I am too. But just, I really hate when people blow it out, like you said, blow it out of proportion and add in things that aren't true. Give us the facts. Show us what really happened. Be legit in what you say. Present it in a way that, like you said, is respectful and, giving knowledge about the case, the actual research. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it's when it comes to you're blowing it out of proportion, you're saying things that aren't true, then that's when I have a problem.
Yeah. I think those go hand in hand.
Yeah.
With the making the money and blowing things out of proportion to make more money.
Yeah. I think that's wrong. I just think that's wrong.
And I think you would agree that we probably do side on the accuser's aspect of that.
Yeah.
Let's be, we don't need any more kooks blowing things out of proportion.
Exactly.
Because then it makes the entirety of the whole investigative world look bad.
I just want to hear the facts. I want to hear the proof. I want to hear the facts. I don't want to hear some made up story just to sell the show. Yeah. There are ways of presenting it in a way that's entertaining and keeps viewers' attention without going all out and saying a bunch of hoopla that isn't true.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I guess with that being said, that's where we're at for today.
And that's my feelings on that.
Unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, I think I'm good for this episode.
All right. It's a pretty good case.
I just feel so bad for Mr. Linder and Tina. Like, it keeps rolling through my head. Like, oh my God, 4 years.
Yeah.
Of going through that.
I mean, I gotta say I'm still on the fence about it just because I'm not sure, because I haven't gotten the actual documentation of all the things that happened other than them being just stories being told.
I would really love to get an interview. I'm going to really work on that. So you guys be sure to look out for that. And we will get an interview.
If you're going to put the legwork in and trying to get him
I
on,
will. And
if it'd be gracious
I would
enough
love to
bless us with his presence.
Yes, that would be so awesome. I would be so honored to get him on the show and really I want to hear the man himself telling us about what the hell happened. What did he go through? My God.
Yeah.
I really want to, I think that would be so awesome. I'm just like, I'm giddy right now thinking about talking to Mr. Linder. I am like, I'm so excited. I want to hear his story.
Yeah.
All
right. But other than that, I think
that's it for today.
All right.
We'd like to say thank you one more time for hopping on board with us this week. If you have any comments, questions, critiques, or suggestions for new topics, please send us an email at supernaturaltendentiespodcast@gmail.com. We also encourage you to get over to our Facebook page at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast, and go ahead and just smash that like button if you would. We are also available on Instagram if that's more to your liking. Please pass us around to your friends as well, where they can find us on Podbean, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and most other major podcast platforms.
And remember, if you're having any type of paranormal activity or extraterrestrial contact, I offer private coaching online via Skype or Facebook Messenger to assist you with those issues. Feel free to visit me at ChristyJohnsonSadler.com for contact information.
Till next time, this has been Alex.
And Christy.
See you later.
All right, so as promised, I want to start this new little thing I got here. Since before we actually did this podcast, before I started podcasting at all, I knew that I wanted to do a musician spotlight of some sort. Being in live metal bands myself since I was 13.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to help promote other bands and just be that person, be supportive of everybody
awesome.
I can. Yeah, especially local bands. Turn on the radio and you get the garbage that is on timelines and our need of production value are just over the top. And so I really like being able to put a hand out in any way I can to other
These guys
other
write
bands.
their own music. They write their own lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So on the first ever segment, which is our first week of doing it here, we've gotten a hold of a few bands, got quite a few
great bands
of communication back with them. So we're starting it off this week. So with this week, we have Heroes Revival. I wrote a little bit of things for them, a little introduction. They didn't give me any okay to actually do this, but I'm doing it anyway, and they're cool enough that I don't think they'll mind. Here it goes. Hailing from Toledo, Ohio, setting their video games and D&D aside to bring you driving metal and battle axes, Heroes Revival is burning kingdoms and pillaging their way to your town. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to do that for every band, but I did it for them because they're pretty cool guys. My band has had the pleasure of playing with Heroes quite often, and I can't get enough of them. They're like gotta be my favorite band from Northern Ohio right now. They are a 3-piece band, again from Toledo. If you're in the Toodly-Doo area, go and check them out. I describe them as a subtle mix of modern and 70s metal.
I like them.
And with a copious amounts of chainmail and broadswords added in.
I like it.
You can catch them on their Facebook page. They do have Heroes Revival, I think just one word, Heroes Revival on Facebook.
Go give them a like and a follow.
Yep, same thing on Instagram. They do have a Bandcamp. They just released, I think it's their first album. I bought it out. Yep, I bought it. We actually were asked to play the release party for it. I think they might have had some demos, some EPs or LPs.
Well, we will get that link and post it on our Facebook page.
Yep, you can
go buy it.
Yep, you can see it at their Bandcamp. That's https:// heroesrevival.bandcamp.com. And then I believe I have a / releases on the end of it too to get to their album Never Surrender. So we have today, they let me use a song to show you guys, and I believe it is called Ironborn.
Awesome. I love this song.
Here it is.
Take the West.